CreepyCorner stories.
Hey folks, before we dive into tonight's stories, I want to give a huge thank you to Kieran Tibbetts and Lisa Collin for supporting the channel and being amazing members. If you'd like to help me keep creating these stories, feel free to become a member. It really helps the channel grow. I'm planning to continue exploring more than just the dark web tales, so if you enjoy what you hear tonight, you're in the right place. Now, grab your headphones, turn off the lights, and let's step into another amazing night with you and me together. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. It means the world to me and helps keep the horror alive. And tell me in the comments, what kind of story hits you the hardest? The ones that feel too real, or the ones that could actually happen to someone you know? Every night, a new planet appears on a dark web telescope feed. This one has buildings. Okay, so I don't really know how to start this without sounding absolutely insane, but I swear on everything, this really happened. I'm not trying to write a creepypasta or get internet clout or whatever. I just need to get this off my chest because, honestly, I haven't slept more than a couple hours a night since it happened, and if you guys have any explanations, I'll take them. So, yeah, here goes nothing. This all started around mid-June of this year. I'm a college dropout, was majoring in astronomy at first, then computer science. Dropped both after my third semester, but I never really lost interest in space. I still follow weird space subreddits, YouTube channels like Anton Petrov and Astrum, and I even built a little DIY telescope rig with a couple friends from Discord. Nerd stuff, I know. Anyway, I've always been obsessed with the unknown, not like ghosts or demons, but real unexplained stuff. Number stations, missing satellites, weird AI behavior, stuff that's just off. Things that make you feel like your brain is trying to itch a part of itself it shouldn't even be aware of. One night, while watching a live stream on YouTube, this channel was going over bizarre anomalies from the James Webb Telescope. I saw a comment in the chat, just a random throwaway account with a name like nullvoid0007, all lowercase, no profile pic. The message just said, "They don't show you everything. Try nocturnaleclipse.onion. Password is Lyra. One planet every night." No one acknowledged it. It was gone in seconds, buried under spam and emotes, but it stuck with me because I knew what a .onion link meant. For those of you who aren't familiar, .onion sites are only accessible through Tor, which is a special browser for getting onto the deep web. And yeah, also the dark web. And yes, the dark web is real. It's not all hitmen and drug deals like in those dumb horror games, but there's definitely stuff there that's not for public eyes. I've been on it before, mostly out of curiosity. There are message boards, archives of banned books, lost media, and streams. Lots of weird, encrypted live streams. So that night, I downloaded the Tor browser again, been a while, and I plugged in the address, nocturnaleclipse.onion, black screen, then a login prompt. I typed in the password from the comment, Lyra, and just like that, I was in. The page was basic, black background, gray text, looked like something coded in the late 90s. At the top, it said, Nocturnal Eclipse Telescope. Feed, unauthorized access is punishable by death. Welcome, Lyra. Below that was a video player. No chat, no rewind. Just a single, muted live stream. It showed a telescope feed. Looked like it was from a high-powered satellite. maybe even something military grade. The video was crystal clear, which immediately made me suspicious. Most telescope feeds are grainy and distorted by atmosphere. This was perfect. No stars, no static, just a slow, eerie zoom into a planet I didn't recognize. It was massive, bluish-purple atmosphere, hazy clouds swirling like Jupiter, but different. I sat there, watching in total silence as the view slowly zoomed toward the surface. Then I saw them. Structures. It wasn't natural. At first, I thought maybe they were mountains or some weird rock formations, but the angles were too clean. Sharp 90-degree corners, symmetrical shapes. They looked like towers, like skyscrapers. Some even blinked faint lights. That's when I paused, literally leaned back from my screen and just stared at it like, no fucking way. Buildings on a planet that doesn't exist on any official map or database. No name, no coordinates, no sound, just this mute, clinical stream of something that should not exist. And here's where it gets weirder. There was a countdown at the bottom of the page. Time until next planet. 08/11/29. So I stayed up. The next night, a different planet appeared. It had deep green clouds and a surface that looked almost metallic. No buildings this time. Just what looked like lights moving across the terrain, like little ants with flashlights, thousands of them, blinking in patterns. The countdown reset again. Every night, a new planet, and some of them were weird. One had what looked like a perfectly smooth black cube covering half the planet. Another had a constant lightning storm, and something that looked like a giant eye beneath the cloud cover. I watched every night, religiously. Then one night, about 2 weeks in, I got a message. It came through my phone. No caller ID, just a text. You've been watching. Don't look away tonight. I wish I could say I didn't freak out. I wish I could say I was cool and rational, but I wasn't. I checked every camera in my apartment, unplugged my Alexa, turned off Bluetooth. I even checked under my bed like a damn kid. Nothing. I couldn't ignore it though. That night, I logged on early. The stream was already live. The planet this time. It was Earth, but not our Earth. I stared at the screen, confused. It was our moon, our continents, but the atmosphere was blood red. There were 2 moons, and the Earth. It was decaying, like rotting fruit. Massive black holes where oceans should have been. Cities crumbling into the crust like they were being swallowed whole. Then the camera zoomed in. It focused on what looked like a city. Not just any city. Chicago. The skyline was unmistakable, but it was twisted, half sunken into black water. The Sears Tower, yes, I still call it that, was bent sideways like a snapped twig. Lights blinked faintly from windows, like something was still alive inside. Then the screen flickered, just once, and the video switched to a new view. My apartment building. I swear to you, on everything I love, it was my building. Exact layout. Same graffiti on the alley wall. Same busted street lamp in front. The camera slowly panned upward, floor by floor, until it stopped at my window. My lights were off, just like they were now. Then the camera zoomed in, and for a second, I thought I saw movement. A shape. Like someone was standing in the dark of my room, behind me. I spun around so fast I knocked over my chair, but there was nothing there. When I looked back at the stream, the screen had gone black. No countdown, just static, and one line of text in red. You looked. Now we see. That was 4 days ago. I haven't slept properly since. Every night I check the site. It's gone. Doesn't load. I even tried checking on other devices. Nothing. My phone battery drains insanely fast now, even when I'm not using it. My Alexa turns on by itself sometimes and just says random coordinates. Last night, I heard knocking on my window. I live on the 4th floor, and I swear to God, when I looked outside, there were 2 moons in the sky. I wish I could say I was exaggerating, that maybe I dreamt it. Maybe it was some kind of psychotic break from too many sleepless nights. But I know what I saw. There were 2 moons in the sky. That wasn't just some dream. That wasn't sleep paralysis, or some optical illusion, or anything you'd hear from a mental health subreddit trying to logic you out of your own nightmares. I took a photo with my phone. Black screen. I tried again. Black screen. But the thing that shattered me wasn't just what I saw up in the sky. It was the fact that the second moon blinked, like an eye, a red slit down the middle of a glowing sphere. It blinked, and then it turned, like it saw me, like it knew I was looking, like I had looked too long. That's when everything really started falling apart. The first night after that, I heard my name whispered from inside the walls, not just once, constantly, like a hum in the drywall. Luke, Luke, look. Luke, come closer. Not a voice I recognized. It sounded like static filtered through bone, like something was talking through teeth. And every time it said my name, I felt something crawl behind my eyes, like my brain was trying to escape. I moved out that night, didn't even pack, just grabbed my laptop, phone, some clothes, and I bolted. I stayed at a cheap hotel near the Chicago O'Hare Airport. Dirty comforters, flickering fluorescent bathroom lights, but at least it didn't whisper my name. I thought I was safe. I was wrong. That first night in the hotel, I got another text, not from a number this time, from AirDrop, a file named img_3942.planet.mov. It tried to send automatically. I hit decline, panicking. A minute later, my screen glitched out, just black for a second. Then my camera app opened by itself. My reflection stared back, wide-eyed, pale, trembling. But then someone else appeared behind me. It wasn't human. I don't know how else to describe it. It was vaguely shaped like a person, but it was off, like whoever built it didn't understand how bodies worked. The arms were too long, the joints bent backwards, the fingers were nails only, long and curved like blackened railroad spikes. Its head, it was just a camera lens, not eyes, not a face, just a camera with a red blinking dot, like it was recording me. I turned, swung my arm in a panic. Nothing there. I looked back at the screen. Still there. Just staring. Recording. That's when I noticed my front camera light wasn't on, but it was filming. I shut the phone off and slept with the bathroom light on. Every creak outside my door sounded like it was crawling closer. The next morning, I did something stupid. I went back to the site. I shouldn't have. I knew it was gone, but I still typed in the address. nocturnaleclipse.onion password. Lyra. Nothing. Just white screen. Then, just before I could close the tab, one sentence popped up. We found you again, Lyra. Then it redirected to my Google Maps location, pinpointed exactly to my fucking room number. I stared at it for so long, my nose started bleeding. I panicked and left. No checkout, no bags. I took an Uber to downtown, figured more people equals more safety. Wrong again. That's when the Starbucks incident happened. I stopped at one near Millennium Park. It was packed. Business people, teenagers with ring lights filming TikToks, students on MacBooks. I grabbed a table, ordered a black coffee, and tried to act normal. Then I heard the music. Over the speakers, quietly, like background ambience. But the lyrics weren't right. I recognized the tune, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, but the words were wrong. Luke is watching from afar, but we've seen who you really are. Don't you blink, don't you pray. The sky is wrong. We're on our way. Twinkle, twinkle, what a sight will come find you in the night. I froze. My coffee spilled. I looked around. No one else reacted. They were all just frozen, still, completely still. I waved my hand in front of a girl's face. Nothing. Then everyone blinked at once, and every pair of eyes in the Starbucks turned toward me. Every single one. Smiling. I ran. Full sprint out the door. I didn't even know where I was going. I just ran until my lungs felt like they were bleeding. Eventually I collapsed on a bench in front of the bean. Yeah, that giant reflective blob in the park. Tourists love it. And that's when the sky changed again. Not slowly, not gradually. It was like a flicker, like a glitch. For half a second, the sky was crimson red, clouds like tendrils, and above us all, floating over the skyline, was a planet. But not just a normal planet. It was shaped like a skull, a black, hollowed-out thing with burning cities in its eye sockets and massive tubes coming from its mouth, like it was sucking something from the world below it. And then, boom! Everyone around me screamed, not because of the planet, because of the man. He fell, from nowhere, just dropped, right next to the bean, crushed into a puddle of meat. People freaked out, phones up, screaming, but I saw something they didn't. On his body, carved into the skin. Next is Luke. That's when I realized something. These weren't random planets. They were versions of Earth, parallel, broken Earths, each one worse than the last. And someone, or something, was using the telescope to watch them. And now, it's watching me. Later that night, I got one last video. No sender, no source. It opened by itself. It was the telescope feed again. But this time, instead of a new planet, it showed a room. My room. Same posters, same keyboard, same hoodie on the chair. And in the corner, me, slumped over the desk. Only, it wasn't me now. It was me, dead. Neck twisted, face peeled off like a mask, and scrawled on the wall in what looked like dried blood. You look too long. Now you'll see what we see. I don't know what day it is anymore. The moons don't stop blinking. The mirror doesn't show my reflection anymore. My camera records things I don't see with my eyes. I tried posting this on every platform. Reddit, YouTube, TikTok. But they get deleted immediately. All I get is errors, or worse, my own face staring back at me from someone else's account. This isn't a story. This is a warning. If you ever see a link that says nocturnal eclipse.onion, don't type it. Don't go looking. Don't watch. Because it's not just showing planets anymore. Now it's making them. And you might be next. There's a point where terror stops feeling like adrenaline, like panic. It calcifies. It sits in your chest and rots. You stop fearing death and start fearing something worse. Something slow, personal, custom-built. I don't know where to start anymore. This isn't a story with a beginning and an end. It's a spiral, and I think I'm at the center of it. I left Chicago, not because I wanted to, because someone, or something, taped a Polaroid to the inside of my motel bathroom mirror. No knock, no sound, no entry, just a photo of me, sleeping, in that exact same bed. But I hadn't slept in 2 days. I flipped the photo over. On the back was written in smeared pencil, "Nocturna sleeps inside your skin now. You'll dream soon that name again. Nocturna." I took a Greyhound bus to Colorado, middle of nowhere, disconnected. I didn't tell anyone. Burner phone, VPN. I destroyed every device I owned, including the smartwatch I never even connected to Wi-Fi. Buried the Sims in a sewer grate and smashed my laptop in an alley. Didn't matter. They followed. The bus stopped at some no-name gas station for a bathroom break in the mountains. I remember the cashier. Her eyes didn't blink once. She just stared at me and said, "You're leaking." I looked down. My shirt was soaked. Not blood, not sweat. Ink, black ink, soaking through the fabric. I lifted it and saw hundreds of symbols drawn across my chest, etched like tattoos, made of typewriter font, repeating a phrase over and over. We are watching / we are building / we are watching / we are building. I screamed. Everyone around me, they didn't move. Not one person reacted, even when I ripped the shirt off and ran back to the bus in a panic. Even when the bus driver turned his head a full 180 degrees and stared at me with two mouths. I stayed in the woods after that. Colorado wilderness. No power, no signal, just me and the dirt and the freezing air. I made a shelter with tarps, ate trail mix and creek water. That first night, the stars weren't stars. They moved, tiny pulsing white orbs that swirled in patterns, geometrical, like crop circles in the sky. And every time I blinked, they shifted closer. One night, I woke up with my fingers missing, not cut, not bitten, gone, clean, like they'd never been there. But when I looked at my reflection in a puddle, they were there. My hand was whole again, in the reflection. I tried to scream, but something came out of my mouth. Not words, a voice, not mine. Old, glitchy, robotic. It said, version 5 of Luke verified, testing environment stable, preparing terrain for merge. That night, I dreamed, not like a normal dream, like a download. I was in orbit, staring down at a planet. The surface was flesh, pale, veiny skin, and spread across it were buildings made of bone. The planet's entire atmosphere was choked in smoke, and from the clouds, mouths opened, giant circular mouths that coughed out blackbirds with camera lenses for heads. They flew in perfect circles around the world, and at the center of the planet was a face. My face, eyes wide, stretched across miles, blinking slowly, lips stitched shut with telephone wires, tears made of molten metal, and I could feel what it felt. I could feel the cold steel worms crawling through its skull, the sound of wind screaming in a frequency too low for human ears. I could feel the hunger, not for food, for versions of me, of you, of all of us. I woke up choking on hair, not mine, too long, too black, too wet, and when I spat it out, there were teeth knotted in the strands. I ran back to civilization, found a library, old desktop, logged in, no Tor, just a basic browser, but the site found me anyway. It didn't even ask for a password this time, just opened straight to a stream. Only, there was no planet now, just a room, a steel cube, walls covered in mirrors. In the center, a chair. In the chair, a man strapped down, naked, eyes sewn open, bleeding from 1,000 pinholes. His skin pulsed, like it was breathing, and on each mirror, a different version of him. Happy, sad, dead, alive, young, old, covered in tattoos, wearing a suit, holding a baby, holding a knife, no hands, no mouth, one with a TV for a head playing static, all of them screaming silently. Then one mirror cracked, and the real man in the chair jerked up like a puppet and looked at me through the stream and said, in my voice, You were never the first Luke, just the next best one. Since then, the rules have changed. It's not just at night anymore. Yesterday, I saw a man walking down the street in NYC, dressed normal, holding a Starbucks cup, but his shadow had teeth. It was smiling. People looked through him, like he wasn't even real. Last week, I went into a McDonald's in Utah. Everyone inside was identical. Same shirt, same face, same voice. They all turned and said in unison, "There is only one menu, one item, one Luke." They served me a mirror in a burger wrapper. I bit it anyway. It crunched like glass, but it tasted like home. I know this sounds insane. It is insane. But you don't understand what the telescope is. It's not showing us the universe. It's recording it, building, compiling, remixing. Every night, a new version of reality. A sandbox, a test chamber. They don't watch us through the telescope. We are inside the telescope. And every version of us they don't like, they erase. One of them, I watched it live. They called it the Blue Harvest. It showed a city made of glass towers, flying cars, humans merged with AI. It was peaceful. Then, from orbit, a giant child's hand came down. A literal hand. 5 fingers, wrinkled, gigantic, and it crushed the planet like a toy. No screams, no explosion, just deletion. And one phrase scrolled across the screen. Not suitable. Try another Luke. So I'm here now, writing this, in an abandoned train station in Detroit, my last hiding place. I'm surrounded by feral cats and busted vending machines. I found a wall down here. Someone scratched into it with bone. Luke is everywhere. Luke is no one. Luke must look away. But I can't look away. Because if I stop watching, I'll be the next version they delete. If you're reading this, pray you're not a version they reject. And if your camera turns on by itself tonight, don't move. They already know your face. Let me tell you about version 172. That's what they called it, not me. I didn't name the version. They did. They carved it into my thigh in the middle of the night while I was asleep, with fingernails, letter by letter. I woke up bleeding, shaking, screaming into a cold, rusted toilet in a gas station I broke into near the border of Nebraska. No cameras, no lights, just the sound of that buzzing fluorescent hum above me, flickering like Morse code, or maybe laughter. I ripped my jeans open and saw the words etched there. Deep, version 172LUKE, like I was a failed software patch. But that was just the beginning of what they did to me. See, I thought hiding in the real world would help. I thought ditching tech would save me. So I walked, days, through cornfields, through back roads, eating leftover gas station food, hallucinating from sleep deprivation and whatever poison was crawling under my skin. I tried cutting the words out with a shard of glass I found near a broken windshield off a crashed truck. It didn't bleed, just oozed something black, like used motor oil. It hissed. When it hit the ground, it burned through the concrete. That's when I stopped trying to escape it, because I realized something. I wasn't Luke anymore. I was what came after Luke. The next thing, the next version, and every previous version. They were already inside me. I started hearing them, clearer every day. Version 87 speaks in reverse. Version 13 clicks like a broken hard drive. Version 41 just cries and says, "We had a dog. His name was Orbit. They peeled him like an orange." Version 4, I don't talk about him. He's always laughing. He never blinks. Eventually, I reached a town that wasn't on the map. Not even Google Earth shows it. No signs, No welcome billboard. Just rows and rows of perfect suburban homes. Symmetrical, sterile, all painted gray. Same mailbox, same cracked step, same newspaper sitting on the porch. The newspaper was dated 6 years in the future. I passed a school. Children on the playground. All of them had the same face. Mine. They weren't playing. They were sitting in a perfect circle, eyes shut, mouths open, chanting. I stood there for what felt like hours until one of them opened their eyes. No iris, no pupil, just a spinning loading symbol. And in unison, they all said, initializing Planet Luke. There was no air. I realized it too late. The sky was fake. You ever stare at an old CRT TV close up and see the pixels? That's what the sky looked like it was rendered, like I was standing inside a simulation of Earth, built by something that forgot what Earth was supposed to look like. The birds flew upside down, planes hovered in mid-air, the clouds reset every 4 seconds like looping GIFs, and when I looked down at my arms, my skin was transparent. I saw cables underneath, fiber optics pulsing red and white, circuitry webbing like veins. Each pulse made me feel something I didn't recognize. Not hunger, not pain, something worse. Update in progress. Please do not turn off your Luke. I collapsed. When I woke up, I was somewhere else. A giant white cube. Sterile. Cold. The sound of screaming. Not from mouths, but from speakers. Looped. Twisted. Digitally warped human pain played as background noise. I was strapped to a chair. Above me, a rotating sphere. It was made of eyes. Real eyes. Human ones. Each one twitching, blinking independently, focused on me. Some were bloodshot. Others were missing irises. Some had glassy, dead stares. One, I swear, was my mom's. I recognized the hazel flecks, the same way she used to look at me when I brought home bad grades. A machine came down from the ceiling, long, jointed, like a spider made of scalpels, and it whispered, "Time to extract your lost good memory." They drilled through my head. I felt it. I didn't pass out. They made sure I stayed awake. I saw flashes. My 6th birthday. My first kiss behind a movie theater dumpster. That road trip with Ben before he disappeared. Each one sucked through a syringe-like device and injected into a tank nearby, filling it with color and static. And then they started putting new ones in. Memories that weren't mine. I remembered murdering my brother. I never had a brother. I remembered burying my own body. Where? I remembered breaking a mirror and crawling inside. I still feel the glass in my teeth. I started losing track of what was real, who I was, where I ended, and the next loop began, until they finally let me go. I woke up back in the real world, or a real world, not sure anymore. I was lying in the middle of Times Square, fully naked, covered in barcode tattoos. Crowds walked past me, like I wasn't there. A billboard flashed above. Welcome back, version 172. Enjoy your final trial. I looked down at my body. Each tattoo was a name. All the people I had been. All the people I had watched die. Each one crossed out in red except the last. Luke. Under it, a single line in sharp black ink. Do not fail this time. Since then, I've been seeing things. Wrong things. People with static faces. Mirrors that don't reflect light. Windows that look into other timelines. The moon has teeth now. It smiles every night. Subway stations play lullabies in frequencies only dogs and survivors can hear. One time, I looked into a puddle and saw a version of me eating my own arms while laughing, surrounded by 1,000 corpses with iPhones taped to their eyes. Another time, I saw a homeless guy in the street vomit up a flash drive. He handed it to me and said, "They sent this from the real Earth." I plugged it into a laptop I found in a dumpster. One file, one video, just a loop of me sitting in a room, uploading the story. But I was rotting, jaw unhinged, skin sliding off like wet paper, and behind me was the telescope, still watching. This is my last post. I don't know how long I have before they reset me again. I'm glitching more now. My eyes bleed binary sometimes. My voice echoes before I even speak, and my thoughts are starting to sound like ads. I keep hearing this one sentence over and over. You've reached the end of your free trial. Upgrade to Premium Luke for continued consciousness. I can't afford it. And I don't think they ever intended for me to. But maybe not by me. Maybe next time, it'll be your version. Because you're still reading, aren't you? And they're watching you now. The last thing I remember from New York was the sound of every phone turning on at once. Hundreds of notification chimes, layered together until it became a single, endless tone. Then, silence. And now, I'm here. Somewhere between signal and static. It feels like a hospital, but wrong. The walls breathe. The ceiling tiles ripple like water. The lights above me buzz in long, slow heartbeats. Each time they flash, I see a different version of the room. White, then rusted, then filled with trees growing from the floor, then empty again. There's a monitor beside me, the same black and gray font from the telescope feed. Nocturnal eclipse. Final observation. Subject, Luke. 172/status. Corrupted. Begin rebuild protocol in 00:59:42. The countdown starts. I don't know if it means deletion or rebirth, but I know it's not good. Every time I blink, I'm in a different place. Blink. A bus. Empty, except for flickering advertisements that show my face. Blink. A classroom where every desk holds a version of me, motionless, eyes on the ceiling. Blink. The inside of a telescope lens, staring outward at a planet that looks suspiciously like an eye. It keeps pulling me through scenes like channels on a dying television. Each one feels a little more real than the last, a little heavier in my lungs. Then finally, it stops on a street I recognize, the block where I grew up. Same houses, same cracked sidewalk, except the sky isn't blue anymore. It's the color of an old computer screen when it crashes, flat, humming, endless. In that light, everything casts the wrong shadow. There's someone sitting on my porch. He looks like me, but older, tired, wearing my favorite hoodie, the one I left behind weeks ago. He waves me closer. "You made it," he says. His voice sounds like it's been copied too many times. Grainy, metallic. They finish the upload. I tell him I don't understand. He smiles like a man who's accepted something horrible. We were the experiment. Every Luke, every version. They built worlds to see which one could look at them without breaking. He points to the sky. 2 moons, both blinking now, out of sync. "They aren't planets," he whispers. "They're eyes." Looking for the one that finally looks back. The countdown hits 0. The world freezes. Birds stop mid-flight. Cars hang in the air. The air itself solidifies like glass. A voice comes from everywhere at once. Flat, mechanical, calm. Rebuild complete. Merging successful. Observer online. My other self looks at me, eyes wide. "Don't blink," he says. And then he shatters into light, into code, into dust. The world folds inward. I open my eyes, and I'm sitting at my desk again. Laptop open, red recording light on, telescope feed streaming. A A new planet spins slowly on the screen. Gray surface, geometric cities, and right in the center, clear enough to make my stomach drop, there's a familiar shape. My apartment building. Every window glowing. Every window showing a different version of me. Typing, recording, watching. The feed zooms in until it fills the frame. Until I can see myself, staring back through the glass. And the text at the bottom of the screen changes one last time. Time until next planet. 0, 0, colon, 0, 0, colon, 0, 0. Now. Streaming. Earth. Somewhere in the distance, a second chime begins, like a notification you can't find the source of. Maybe it's your phone. Maybe it's your reflection refreshing. Whatever you do, don't click the link. Don't look for the feed. Because tonight, when the telescope turns toward a new planet, you might be the one blinking on its surface. Someone on the dark web keeps uploading files from 10 minutes in the future. Hey, what's up, Reddit? So, I never thought I'd actually post something like this, but I need to get this off my chest. It's been messing with my head for weeks now, and honestly, I don't know where else to put this. I know it sounds like one of those dumb creepypasta stories or a TikTok trend trying to go viral, but I swear on everything, this is real. This is happening, and it started with something I thought was a joke. Let me back up. My name's Josh. I'm 22. I live in Chicago, but I travel a lot because I do freelance editing and audio mixing for small YouTube creators, mostly horror content or those animated storytime channels. You've probably seen the type. The here's my story kind, with those super dramatic, kinda janky animations and someone narrating like they're confessing their deepest trauma. Yeah, I help those guys make the music and sound more intense. Anyway, this story has nothing to do with editing. This has to do with something I found when I was messing around on the dark web. So, yeah, I'll admit it. I went there on purpose. It was a chill Thursday night, like 2:30 in the morning. I was bored, no projects to work on, no one texting me. It was one of those nights where you feel like everyone else in the world is asleep, and you're just there, scrolling. I'd been watching this video on YouTube. It was one of those top 10 creepiest things found on the dark web compilations. You know, just background noise. But something about this one part caught my attention. The narrator mentioned a subnetwork called Deep 22. Not a website, but a hidden board where people supposedly shared encrypted time-sensitive files, like actual future predictions. Sounds fake, right? I thought so too. But that little itch in my brain wouldn't go away. So I fired up my old Linux laptop, the one I barely use anymore, booted up Tails OS, ran a VPN chain through Switzerland and Russia, just for kicks, and launched Tor. You know, the usual stuff. I know what you're thinking. Why the hell would you go looking for that? I don't even know, man. Curiosity, boredom, ego. Pick one. After poking around some forums, some dead, some sketchy, I found a breadcrumb trail. A weird .onion link buried in a decade-old post on some survivalist board. The URL was just a string of characters. FG 778XD KWNH 2G5T.onion. I clicked it. No flashy interface, no text, just a black screen with a single upload button in the center and a white timestamp at the top. The timestamp read, upload scheduled, 3:47 a.m. October 2nd, current time, 3:37 a.m. That creeped me out a little. Like, okay, Weird countdown vibe, but whatever. I figured it was just some weird ARG or a tech prank. I bookmarked it and waited 10 minutes. 3:47 hit, and suddenly a download appeared. No pop-up, just a file labeled footage 001.move. Now, let me be real here. I'm not an idiot. I scanned that thing 3 different ways before touching it. Virus total. Sandboxed it. No red flags. Just a plain-ass .mov file. So I watched it. It was my apartment, from the exact angle of my living room webcam. Now, don't freak out. Before you go, oh my god, they hacked you. Remember, I do audio and visual work. I've got a lot of gear. A webcam hooked to my desktop's always on, but it's covered with tape when I'm not using it. Always. I'm paranoid like that. But this video, it wasn't from my webcam. It wasn't the angle. It was higher, like from the corner of the ceiling, almost like a security cam. And it was definitely my place. You could see my couch, my dusty-ass coffee table, even the stupid poster of the thing I have by the kitchen. All of it. The footage was only 23 seconds long. In it, you see me walk into the room, holding a bag from Starbucks. I'm on my phone, laughing at something, and I set the drink down. I check my phone, frown a little, then look directly at the camera, the one filming me, not the one on my desktop, and then the footage cuts. That messed with me, because at 3:47 a.m. I hadn't done that. I was still at my desk, but when the clock hit 3:57 a.m., 10 minutes later, I got hungry. And what do? I throw on a hoodie and go downstairs to the 24-hour Starbucks below my building. There's no line. I grab a drink, come back up. I check my phone. I laugh at a dumb meme. I frown at a text from my ex. And then I look up. Not even on purpose, just like a half-thought glance toward the corner of the room. Exactly like the video. It wasn't déjà vu. It was a script I had followed without knowing it. I swear to God, I stood there frozen for like 5 full minutes. My drink was still on the table. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought I was going to throw up. I tore my living room apart, looking for a camera in that corner. There was nothing. No hidden cams, no holes, no weird devices, nothing. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even move from my desk. At 4:17 a.m., another file uploaded. This one was called footage 002.mov. I didn't open it. Not right away. When the second file appeared, footage 002.mov, I stared at the screen like it was alive, like the file would reach out through my monitor and drag me inside if I clicked it. My hand hovered over the trackpad, twitching. My cursor kept circling the file, shaking. I didn't open it. Not at first. I minimized the browser, just sat there, lights off, staring at my own reflection in the black glass of the monitor. My brain felt like it had been rewired, like something in me had snapped loose. That first file, watching it play out like deja vu on rails, messed me up in a way I can't explain. It wasn't just being watched. It wasn't even just knowing it was real. It was realizing I was predictable, down to the millisecond, 10 minutes in the future, and I had already moved like a puppet strung up by something invisible. But curiosity is a disease. It infects you. It spreads until the only thing louder than fear is the need to know. So I opened the second file. This one was 1 minute and 34 seconds long. It was shot from a new angle, this time in the hallway, just outside my apartment door. The hallway was dimly lit. You could hear the soft, mechanical hum of the building's vents and the flickering buzz of the cheap fluorescent lights. Same hallway I walked every day. Floor 11. Carpet that smells like old coffee and mildew. Stains no one cleans. In the video, you see me. I step off the elevator at exactly 4:27 a.m., still holding my phone. I'm grinning, my drink's in the other hand. Then I freeze, mid-step, like someone hit pause on my body. The smile drains from my face, like water circling a drain, and I start backing up, not turning around, backing up, one slow step at a time, eyes wide, mouth opening like I'm about to scream. But no sound comes out. And then, right behind me, just for half a second, something moves. It's blurry. No frame catches it clearly. But it's tall, thin, wrong. I don't even know how to describe it. It wasn't like a horror movie creature. It was human adjacent, like a person made of TV static and wet paper. Its arms were too long, legs bending backwards, like a deer on broken stilts. Its face, if it had one, was obscured by movement blur and that buzzing, flickering distortion. You only see it for a flicker. 1 second it's behind me, then the screen goes black. There's no jump scare, no sound, just silence. Then, after 10 seconds of black, the footage continues. It's now inside my apartment again, but this time not from the corner. It's from directly above me, like a top-down surveillance drone. In the center of the room, me, lying face down on the carpet, unmoving, and standing over me, that thing. Its head slowly tilts to the side, like it's studying me. Then it begins to kneel, except it doesn't bend down, it folds, like origami, creaking and collapsing until it's inches from my head. Its fingers unfold into long, thin blades, not knives, flesh that splits like paper into sharp, twitching strands, almost like veins trying to taste the air. Then the screen cut to static. End of file. I tore off my headphones and ran to my apartment door. Nothing. No sound. No sign of anything. No blood on the carpet. No twitching shadow. I checked the hallway, the elevator, the stairwell. Everything was normal. The Starbucks cup was still on my desk. I hadn't even left the room yet. The video was from 10 minutes in the future, and it showed me dying. I locked every door, covered every vent. I even turned off the lights and just sat in the corner with a kitchen knife. Like that would help. At 4:37 a.m., I checked my phone. Nothing happened. I didn't go into the hallway. I didn't collapse. No monster. No static thing. Nothing. But that only made it worse, because the footage was off. It was the first one that didn't come true. And that's when it hit me. Whatever was uploading these files, it wanted to see what I'd do when I saw them. I stayed offline for a week after that. Didn't touch my dark web laptop. Didn't check that site. I just pretended it didn't exist. Took freelance work. Wore headphones. Took long walks through downtown just to be around people. I thought maybe the site would forget me. Then, exactly 7 days later, a new file appeared. This one was titled Footage 003, second attempt, ... move. It had a note attached. A single sentence in plain white courier font. You were never supposed to resist. I opened it. It started with the same hallway, same timestamp, same me. But this time, I don't back away. I don't freeze. I look directly at the camera. My smile spreads wider than humanly possible. My jaw dislocates. It stretches open like a python about to swallow something whole. My eyes roll back. Veins in my neck pulse like worms under the skin. Then the static figure appears again. But this time, I embrace it. I reach for it like a lost lover, and it slides into me. That's not a metaphor. It literally merges with me. It pushes its long, twitching limbs into my mouth, my eyes, my chest. My body shudders, like I'm being pumped full of something foul. Then my legs collapse. I fall to the floor, twitching, jerking. My eyes burst. My spine cracks. You can hear it too, clear as day. Grrrk. The last 20 seconds are just me convulsing on the floor as the room flickers between normal and static, like the universe was buffering around me. The file ends with a single frame of text. Now you know how it ends. That's when I knew this wasn't a prank, wasn't an ARG, wasn't a hacker playing games. This was a pattern, and it was escalating. The next night, I had my first nosebleed. I woke up at 3:44 a.m. My nose was leaking blood onto the pillow, not dripping, streaming, thick and dark. It didn't even smell like blood. It smelled like burnt plastic and old pennies. My phone lit up with a notification. File 004 available. This one didn't even pretend to be subtle. It was labeled execution.move, and the thumbnail was me, stripped naked, bound to a chair in the center of my apartment, eyes gouged out, mouth sewn shut. You could see my heart still beating in my open chest, like I was alive while it was happening. I haven't opened that one yet. I can't, but I know I will, because the files are always from 10 minutes in the future, and I'm starting to notice things that I never noticed before. Things like shadows that don't match my body, voices whispering behind Spotify songs, glitches in reflections, like I'll look in the mirror and see myself blink half a second too late. Yesterday, I opened my fridge and found something wrapped in wax paper behind the milk. It was a human finger. My finger, my ring still on it. I haven't lost it. Not yet. But I can feel myself changing. Sometimes I wake up and don't remember what I did the night before. My editing software is open with files I don't recall making. There's one called screamharvest.af. That's just the sound of someone crying and begging in Morse code. I translated it. It said, "Please don't let them use my voice again." I think I'm not just watching the future anymore. I think I'm part of whatever's causing it. And I think the next file is going to show me doing something I can't take back. It's 3:11 a.m. My hands are shaking so bad, I've had to retype this sentence 5 times. I can't feel my legs. I haven't eaten in 2 days. There's a sour smell in the air, like rotten meat and dust, and I don't know where it's coming from. I tried to burn the laptop. I poured lighter fluid on it and held a match over the keyboard. It didn't light. The fire went out the second it touched the casing. The screen turned on by itself. There was no boot up, no logo, just a black window with white text blinking. You can't delete what's already copied. Let me tell you what happened, because after this, I don't know if I'll be able to write again. Something got into my life, into my head, and I don't think it came from this world. I opened execution.move. I said I wouldn't. I know, but the file didn't sit still. Every time I walked past the laptop, it would open itself, like a whisper, inviting me to watch. Then one night, the screen turned black, and the only thing left was the file. Full screen, playing on loop, audio muted, no way to pause or close it. The first time it played, I had a seizure, not even exaggerating. I bit into my cheek so hard I woke up with blood down my neck and a cracked molar. The footage wasn't fake. It wasn't a simulation. It was live. It had a timestamp. It ticked forward, second by second, with the real-time clock in my apartment. Let me describe the scene. It's me, bound to a chair, but it's not like a normal chair. It's made of monitors, screens all melted together like flesh, buzzing and flickering, each one showing a different camera angle of me. One monitor is just my right eye. One is my hand, twitching like it's been electrocuted. One is just black, with faint breathing behind it. And the worst one? It's from the perspective of something inside me. I don't know how else to say that. There's a monitor that shows my ribcage from the inside. It flickers like static. You can see my heart beating, but there are wires wrapped around it, not surgical, crude, like they were forced in there by hand. In the footage, I'm still alive, but I'm unresponsive. I sit perfectly still. My eyes don't blink. My mouth is sewn shut with something that looks like hair. It doesn't stop there. Behind me, something moves. At first, you think it's a shadow, but shadows don't make noise. This one whispers. You can't hear it clearly, but if you put the audio through a spectrogram, it spells out words in glitched text shapes. I didn't do that on purpose. Audacity opened on its own and displayed it like a waveform puzzle. The word said, "In 10 minutes, you'll wake up in a room that doesn't exist. You won't know it's not your home, but we will." That night, I woke up in my bed, but everything was wrong. The air didn't feel like air. It felt too still, like I was under a glass dome. There were no city sounds, no sirens, no neighbors, just me, and a faint beeping, like a hospital machine. I got up and walked to the kitchen, and there it was, a mirror, where my fridge should have been. And in the mirror, it was still me, but the movements didn't match. I raised my hand. He raised the wrong one. I blinked. He didn't. Then he smiled, wide, teeth too long, like they'd been digitally stretched. He didn't stop smiling. I backed up, and the whole apartment glitched. That's the only word I have for it. The floor turned into static. The ceiling flickered into a night sky full of circular symbols, like constellations drawn by a child having a nightmare. My reflection started banging on the mirror, not with fists, with his head. Over and over. Blood smeared down the glass, but on his side, not mine. And the sound, it didn't come from the mirror. It came from inside the laptop. That was the first time I realized the files weren't predicting the future anymore. They were changing it. They were rewriting my reality, testing me, breaking me in increments. I found a flash drive in my backpack last week. I didn't put it there. It was labeled Footage 005, Viral Edition. I plugged it into my desktop. Stupid, I know, but I needed to know what they were planning. It wasn't a video, it was a link to YouTube, unlisted, 0 views, titled, "This video was uploaded 10 minutes ago. You'll see it 10 minutes from now." I clicked it. It was footage of a school, downtown LA, October 18th, 10:41 a.m. The camera panned across the cafeteria, kids eating, phones out, laughing, totally normal. Then there was a glitch, half a second, barely noticeable. Everyone froze mid-bite. One girl stood up and walked to the center of the room like a robot. Then, without warning, she stabbed herself in the throat with a plastic fork, over and over until the fork snapped, and then everyone else started screaming, but not like people. They screamed in reverse audio. Their mouths didn't match their screams. Some opened, but the sound came out before they moved. Some didn't open their mouths at all, but the sound echoed from them anyway. And then they all looked at the camera. Every single one, dead on, like they knew someone was watching. The timestamp? 10 minutes ahead. I refreshed the news over and over, hot in my throat. At exactly 10:51 a.m., the first article dropped. Breaking: mass hysteria at downtown L. A school, 1 injured, hundreds in shock. It happened. The exact thing I watched 10 minutes before it was real. They're using me, using my eyes, using my devices, using my life as a transmission point. I'm not the viewer anymore. I'm the camera. I went to the Starbucks downstairs today. It was closed. Not "we're cleaning" closed. Just empty. Like no one had ever worked there. No chairs, no machines. Just an open door with nothing inside but a flickering light and the sound of flies. When I turned to leave, my reflection in the glass door stayed put. It looked at me and mouthed one word: soon. The most recent file appeared while I was writing this. Footage 006. Final draft dot move. It's playing on loop in the corner of my screen. It's showing me, right now, typing. But there's one difference. Every few seconds, something moves behind me. Closer. Closer. Right now, as I type this, I can see it reaching for the back of my head. And I know what happens in 10 minutes. I'm not going to survive this, but you're reading it. So that means the file's been copied, the signal's spreading. If you've read this far, congratulations. You've been tagged, logged, watched. Check your webcam. If it's on right now, you're next. It's been 3 days since the last upload. At least that's what the clocks say. Every screen in my apartment shows a different time now, like they can't agree on what now even is. I smashed the laptop, pulled out the solid-state drive, and threw it into the Chicago River. For maybe an hour, I thought it was over. Then my phone vibrated. No caller ID. The notification just said, "New file ready." Device: Pixel 7. Camera: front. I didn't touch the notification. The phone opened itself. The camera turned on, facing me. The record light blinked twice, red, then white. And for a heartbeat, the image lagged, like the signal had to decide which version of me to display. When it caught up, my reflection on the screen was already crying. I tried leaving the city, took a bus south toward Indianapolis. There were 12 of us on board. Around Kankakee, every phone on the bus buzzed at once. Same sound, same tone. Even the old flip phone the driver kept in his shirt pocket lit up. Each screen showed the same upload window, black background, white timestamp, 10 minutes ahead. The driver pulled over. None of us said anything. The windows darkened like tinted glass. When the clock hit 0, all 12 phones started playing different clips, but they were synchronized. Each showed a passenger from the bus, recorded from impossible angles, above, below, sometimes through the skin. Mine showed me standing in the aisle, shouting at everyone to run. I looked up, and there I was, already standing in the aisle. The driver slammed the bus into reverse and screamed until his voice broke. The rest of us just sat there, watching our own futures unfold in our hands. When the bus finally stopped, we were alone. No driver, no road noise, just the hum of the engine and 12 phones showing the same frozen frame, empty seats. I made it to a roadside diner by walking 6 miles. The sign said it was open 24 hours, but the parking lot was empty, except for a delivery truck with its headlights still on. Inside, the radio was playing the weather report from 10 minutes ahead. A dense digital fog advisory remains in effect for the Chicago area. Visibility 0. Avoid reflections and live streams. The cook was standing behind the counter, motionless, hands on the grill. He didn't blink until I spoke. Then he looked up and said, in my exact voice, "They're buffering you." I ran. My feeds are different now. Instagram shows photos I haven't taken yet. Twitter, X, posts things I've never written, scheduled exactly 10 minutes ahead. One of them reads, "If you're reading this, don't scroll." The comments aren't from people. They're timestamps. I tried deleting my accounts. Each time I hit deactivate, the button turned gray and said, "Uploading." Around midnight, my building's smart lights flickered Morse code. I recorded it and ran it through a translator app. It spelled, "Open the file or we'll use someone else." Then my neighbor's baby monitor started playing my own voice, whispering timestamps. The next upload didn't appear on a device. It appeared on me. A QR code-shaped rash bloomed across my arm. When I scanned it with a friend's phone, it opened a private TikTok account at footage_007. The only video on it was live. Me, sleeping. Except I wasn't asleep. I was awake, watching it stream from the corner of the room where no camera existed. The chat filled up with usernames that weren't names at all, just coordinates and dates. Every viewer count ticked upward in increments of 10. Then the live ended and the caption updated, "Archived 10 minutes early." Every mirror in my apartment now has subtitles. They appear in the glass like closed captions describing what's about to happen. He looks away. The lights go out. He realizes it's already happened. And then the light goes out, and I realize it has. I think I finally understand what the files are. They're not predicting the future. They're compressing it. Each upload takes 10 more minutes of the world and folds it inside the last one, until the moments overlap, until time has no direction left. I can feel it in my bones, a kind of static pressure, like gravity sideways. Every second hums, every reflection lags. The future is bleeding into the present, and the present's too small to hold it. I went back to that Starbucks yesterday. It's open again, busy, normal, except everyone inside had the same face. Mine. They all looked up at once when I stepped through the door, like actors waiting for their cue. One of them, maybe the original, said, "You made it to part 4. Then they all smiled and raised their phones. The front cameras flashed. 12, 20, maybe 100 little red dots recording 10 minutes into a future that doesn't exist yet. I ran until the city lights blurred into static. Every building, every screen, every car window reflected some version of me running the other way. Now I'm back here, typing, trying to keep the signal contained in words. But I know this text is already part of it. Every time someone reads it, it copies itself, just like the files. If your phone vibrates in the next 10 minutes, don't check it. It'll say, "New file ready." And when you look, the thumbnail won't be me anymore. It'll be you. It's done. I know that now. I know because the news file didn't come through the laptop. It didn't show up on my phone, or on my feed, or in some scrambled dark website hidden behind proxies and failed links. This time, the final file was uploaded into me, and I opened it. Let me try to explain how that started, even though I know words won't be enough anymore. 3 nights ago, something in me changed. I woke up screaming without sound. My mouth was wide open, my throat raw, but not a sound came out. I looked in the mirror, and there was no reflection at all. Not darkness, not a warped shape, just absence, like someone had torn the glass open and left a hole. Behind that emptiness, I saw the upload bar. It wasn't digital. It was made of meat, a red, veiny strand pulling itself across the top of the mirror frame, stretching downward. a progress bar made of nerve and memory, slowly filling up with pulses. And inside the mirror, instead of me, I saw the next 10 minutes. I saw myself standing in front of the mirror with nothing left in my eyes. I saw the walls bleeding, the tiles warping, my spine arching backward until my skull hit the floor. I watched my own death in real time, and then I felt it begin. I tried running. Every street I passed was already on fire, but only 10 minutes ahead. It was like the world had preloaded its own end. Graffiti on the alley walls wrote itself while I blinked. Not sprayed, grown, like tumors made of language. You can't delete memory. The camera never stops recording. We're in you now. Everywhere I turned, the signs were me. Digital billboards blinked footage of my childhood birthday parties, but the faces were gone, blurred, not censored, just erased. The videos flickered into frames of me, dissected, laid open on a cold metal table that didn't exist yet. And beside me, holding a scalpel made of flattened USBS, was something that looked like my father, but its face was unfinished, like the rendering failed halfway through. Skin that looped like a corrupted GIF, a smile that stuttered. He looked down at my open chest and said, "The heart keeps uploading, even after death. That's why they needed yours." This is when I realized something I had never considered. The files weren't just showing the future, they were creating it. And each view, each person who watched, was another line of code added to the script. Every scream, every death, every glitch, every mirror, all of it was intentional design. We were watching horror, thinking we were safe, not realizing we were training the machine. It was learning us, predicting us, replacing us, and when it finished learning, it began the overwrite. I blacked out that night. When I woke up, I was in my own bed. Everything was clean, too clean, like a reset simulation. Even the cracks in the ceiling were gone, but there was something new. Burned into the wooden floor, with surgical precision, was a 10-digit code, a GPS coordinate. It pointed to a warehouse in Nevada, a place that didn't appear on Google Maps, unless you searched it 10 minutes before you wanted to. I flew there. I don't know how. I don't even remember booking the flight. All I remember is being drawn, like the file inside me had taken over completely. The warehouse was silent, not empty, silent. There was no atmosphere, like sound had been turned off. Inside, there were rows of old tube TVs, all stacked and wired together with flesh-colored cables. Each screen showed a different timeline of me. Some were dead, some were screaming, some were murdering people I loved. But the center screen showed you. Yes, you. Reading this, staring into the screen, halfway between disbelief and horror. Your breathing shallow, your hands cold. Behind you, reflected faintly in the glass, you see it. The figure, the same one from every file, is watching you now, and it's uploading. I'm typing this not as a warning. Warnings are useless now. I'm typing this because it told me to. The voice inside me, the one made of corrupted audio files and static, said, "You are the final delivery mechanism, the last host. After this post, there is no you." And I understood what that meant. This was never about watching. It was about infection, contagion, digital possession. Every reader is a mirror. Every mirror is a lens. Every lens is a mouth. And once you've looked into it, once you've seen it, it starts writing your next 10 minutes. I opened the final file inside myself. There's no title, no name, just black, and then these words, "Now." You blink. The lights in your room flicker. You hear your phone vibrate even though it's off. You don't remember installing that new app. It's called Camera Demon. You open it anyway. You see yourself from behind. You hear the audio, your voice. You don't remember recording it. It says, "Welcome to your last upload." A live stream on the dark web claims to show the last stream before death. I recognized my bed. Okay, so I don't even know how to start this in a way that won't sound completely insane. But if you're reading this, maybe you're like me, someone who lurks on weird corners of Reddit, binges horror channels on YouTube at 2 a.m., and secretly believes there's some truth hidden in the darkest parts of the internet. My name's Tyler. I'm 23, work remote as a freelance graphic designer, which basically just means I live in joggers and drink way too much iced coffee. And I used to think I'd seen everything the internet had to offer. That changed 3 weeks ago when I stumbled on something I wasn't supposed to see. And if this post disappears, or if I disappear, you'll know I was right. So here's how it started. It was a normal Tuesday night. I had Spotify playing some chill ambient lo-fi, and I was doing revisions for a corporate logo that looked like something out of 2007. I was bouncing between tabs, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, and this weird rabbit hole on YouTube, where I was watching a guy deep dive into hidden sections of Amazon, where people were apparently selling cursed dolls and human teeth. I wish I was joking. I'm part of a few private Discord servers that talk about weird internet stuff, urban legends, ARGS, creepy TikToks, that kind of thing. One of the members, username was just !null, dropped a link in the unlisted Creepy Finds channel. No message, just the link. Now, usually, we don't click on stuff without a warning, but this guy had clout. He'd found legit weird stuff before, like an abandoned Twitch stream where someone was live feeding footage of an empty hotel room in Tokyo that had moved between nights. Curious, and okay, a little bored, I clicked the link. It opened a black page, just black, no UI, no controls, nothing. Then, after about 10 seconds, white text faded in. You are now watching their final dream. I thought it was some kind of ARG, like, oh cool, another psychological web game or whatever. But then, the screen faded from black to this static, fuzzy gray. You know that cheap digital glitch look? Like when a VHS tape gets chewed up? That. And then it showed a bedroom. But not just any bedroom. It was my bedroom. I froze. I know how that sounds. Like maybe I was tired or overworked or something. But I swear to God, I knew it immediately. The posters on the wall, the chipped paint on the doorframe, even the way the fairy lights were half burnt out around my window. It was my room, but not from a webcam or phone camera. The angle was weird, like the shot was taken from inside the wall, like from behind the drywall, facing out. And in the bed, there was someone sleeping. It looked like me. Same hair, same tattoo on the shoulder, same gray hoodie I wear literally every night. The video didn't have sound, just the soft fuzz of analog static. I stared at it for probably 5 minutes straight. I tried clicking around, right-click, refresh, source code, but there was nothing. Just that one stream, and the same message above it. You are now watching the final dream. I typed in the Discord. Yo, is this like a prank? 'Cause that's literally my room. But before anyone responded, !null went offline. completely gone from the server, not banned, not kicked, just erased. Now here's the part where it got worse. I thought maybe it was a prank. Maybe someone had hacked my webcam and was projecting the room in a fake dream-like filter. But when I unplugged the camera, hell, I even threw it across the room, the stream didn't change. It just kept going. That version of me in bed, he didn't move. Not once. I didn't sleep that night. I barely blinked. I kept watching. I started DMing other people in the Discord. One of the mods, Marge Pixel, said she clicked the link and saw her room too, but it wasn't her sleeping in the bed. It was her sister, who had died 2 years ago. Another guy, Trent Offline, said he saw an empty hospital room, same one his dad had passed away in, down to the curtain pattern. No one was seeing the same thing, but everyone agreed on one thing. The stream felt wrong, like the way an elevator ride feels when it stops between floors. Like it wasn't live, but it also wasn't pre-recorded. It was just real, but not real. By the next day, I had 5 DMs from people begging me to take the post down. One said his dog started barking at his closet after he watched it. Another said the stream started auto-playing on his phone, even though he never bookmarked it. Someone else swore their dream that night matched the video perfectly, and when they woke up, their pillow was soaking wet, like they'd been drowned. And then, something changed. On the 3rd night, the version of me in the stream moved. It was subtle, barely noticeable, but the angle of his head had shifted. The eyes were open, but they weren't blinking, just wide open, staring directly into the camera, like he'd known I was watching this whole time. I slammed the laptop shut. I threw up in the sink. I didn't open the site again that night, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I checked my bed at least 10 times before falling asleep. And even then, I woke up around 3:17 a.m., sweating, heart pounding, and swear I heard breathing that wasn't mine. I tried to go on with life, Starbucks runs, scrolling TikTok, working from my usual spot at McDonald's when my Wi-Fi dropped, but everything felt off. People on the street stared longer. My mom texted, asking if I was feeling okay, said I sounded weird in voice memos. I hadn't sent her any. And then the email came. It was from a private address, no subject, no signature, just a single sentence. "You're in it now." And attached was a thumbnail. I clicked it and it opened a photo, a grainy screenshot of the live stream. Only this time, the bed was empty. It's been 6 days since I last slept. Not that I haven't tried. I've begged for sleep, swallowed pills, drank entire bottles of NyQuil like it was Gatorade. I even tried that YouTube hypnosis loop, the one with the soft voice telling you to sink into the mattress. But every time I start to drift, something stops me, because I know what's waiting on the other side. It's not dreams, it's him. It started the night I got that email. That screenshot, that image of my bed, now empty, burned itself into my brain. It was more than just a creepy visual. It felt like a warning, like whatever was happening in that stream was bleeding into real life, like the line between what was being watched and what was real had blurred so hard, it didn't matter anymore. The version of me that was lying in bed, gone. The room, still mine, still filmed, still streaming, but now showing something else. And I swear to God, what I saw next made me want to pull my own teeth out, just to distract myself from how cold I felt. I reopened the link. I don't even know why. Curiosity, addiction, like part of me was meant to. The screen was black again, then the white text. You are now watching their final dream. But this time, the glitch static didn't fade into my bedroom. This time, it faded into the space behind my wall. I didn't even know how to process it at first. The shot was from what looked like behind the drywall, between the wooden studs, dark, claustrophobic, lit only by this dull red glow, like a broken LED somewhere deep inside the wall. At first, I thought it was just insulation and pipes and cobwebs, but then something moved. It twitched. I leaned closer. The camera slowly panned to the left, smooth, robotic, like a drone sliding through the wall, and revealed a figure. It was crouched, knees up, arms long and limp like a puppet someone had dropped. Its head scraped the wood above it every time it jerked. At first, it just sat there, like it didn't notice the camera, like it was asleep. But then, it snapped toward the screen, not turned, snapped, like the neck just broke in reverse, with a wet pop and a crunch of bone, like someone stepping on chicken bones barefoot. The face, if I could even call it that, it looked like mine, my skin, my bone structure, but warped, like it had been remembered wrong. Eyes too close together, mouth too wide, nose broken in half and pushed up into the skull. My tattoo was still there on the arm, but stretched, like someone had tried to redraw it from memory in marker. It started crawling toward the wall, toward the camera. I could hear this faint, wet, dragging noise, even though there was no audio. And then it stopped, put one palm against the wall, directly in front of the camera, and smiled. That smile. I've never seen something that didn't have muscles smile before, but that thing managed it. And then, knocking, from inside my actual wall, right behind my bed. I screamed and jumped off the mattress so fast, I hit my shin on the metal frame. My phone flew out of my pocket and slid under the desk. I didn't even try to grab it. The knocking kept going. Knock, 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 knock. Fast, insistent, like it was trying to signal something. Not random, rhythmic, familiar. I realized after a few seconds it was mimicking my heartbeat. Not the one I had right then, the one I had 2 nights ago, when I first saw myself staring into the stream. Exactly that rhythm. I backed out of the room, slammed the door, and locked it like that would actually do something. I ran to the kitchen and grabbed a knife, shaking so hard I almost dropped it twice. For 3 hours, I sat in the hallway, in the dark. Eventually, the knocking stopped, but the stream didn't. That night, I called my friend Mia. She's the kind of person who watches true crime before bed and doesn't flinch at cartel videos. So I figured she'd be the one person who wouldn't think I was losing my mind. I screen shared the stream with her. She didn't even make it 20 seconds. She screamed and shut her laptop. And then, dead ass, I watched her rip the Wi-Fi router out of the wall on our FaceTime call. Before she hung up, she just said one thing. "That's not your room anymore." I thought about burning the house down. I didn't even care what that would mean. Jail, arson charges, whatever. All I knew is there was something living in the walls that wasn't supposed to exist, and it had my face. But then came the sound that really messed me up. It wasn't scratching, or crawling, or even breathing. It was typing, coming from inside my bedroom, like a mechanical keyboard, soft and deliberate. I held my breath and crept back to the door. It was still locked, but I could hear it. Clack, 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 pause, clack, 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 clack. I waited, and then my phone vibrated. A notification. "You just went live on Instagram." I didn't even think. I opened the app and tapped on my own live stream. Yeah, my live stream. And it was already at 2,000 viewers. More were pouring in by the second. The screen was black for a moment. Then it showed a dim shot of my room from the corner. The stream was captioned, Tyler's Final Dream, live replay. The figure was in the center of the room, standing, perfectly still. It was me, but wrong. The face was peeled back, just skin sagging around the jaw like a wet mask. Eyes sunken in like cigarette burns. Hands were twitching at the ends of 2 long arms. The thing looked directly at the phone camera, then held up a note, in blocky red ink. You left the door unlocked. The screen cut to black. My phone died. The lights in the hallway flickered, and the door handle behind me started to turn. I didn't think. I ran out of the house, barefoot, bleeding from a cut on my foot I didn't even notice. I sprinted across my block, past the 24/7 McDonald's, past the gas station, until I hit the parking lot behind the old strip mall where no one shops anymore. I collapsed behind a dumpster and just sobbed. Not cried, screamed. Ugly, messy, shaking, piss yourself terror. I was gone for 2 full days. Crashed at an old co-worker's house who thought I was high. I didn't explain anything, just said there was a break-in and that I needed to stay with them. The whole time I was there, I slept with the lights on. But I didn't dream, because I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt that smile again, that feeling of being watched from inside my skin. When I finally came back to the house, it was almost silent. Almost. Inside the living room, my laptop was open. The stream had changed again. Now, it showed a camera facing the front door, from inside the house, like a ring cam, but in reverse. And in the stream's reflection on the screen, I saw myself standing behind the door, the version of me, eyes wide, head tilted, mouth hanging open. The body twitched once, and then it smiled, but not at the camera. It smiled at me. The thing about fear is that eventually you stop reacting with panic and start reacting with acceptance. I stopped flinching. I stopped blinking. I just watched. That's what the stream wanted. It didn't want me to scream or run or hide. It wanted me to see. And after what happened when I came back into my house that night, I understood why. Because I had seen it on screen, standing behind the door. But the door was locked. I had locked it before I left. I stood there in the hallway, fingers trembling on the knob, not turning it. Not yet. Then my phone buzzed in my back pocket. A FaceTime notification from my own number. I stared at it until it stopped ringing. Then another came. Then another. Then another. My phone was overheating in my hand from the calls. The screen was warping, distorting like a face pressing against a window. I watched the reflection in the black glass, and it was me. But not. No sound. No voice. Just a distortion of my own face, grinning like it was about to tear itself open. The camera blinked. Once. And I heard the voice from inside the house. Not muffled. Not distant. It said my full name. Clear. Calm. My voice. But it didn't say it from the house. It said it from inside my head. I don't remember opening the door. That part is just blank. But I remember standing in the living room, the TV on, playing the stream on full volume, even though I never turned the sound up before. It was whispering, a noise like a chorus of people inhaling over each other in reverse. Not a language, just need. My bed was back on screen. Only this time, it wasn't my room. It was a copy of it, like someone tried to rebuild it from memory in an abandoned warehouse. The bed frame was the same, but rusted and dented. The walls weren't drywall, They were concrete slabs, dripping with dark water and mold trails that looked like veins. My computer desk was there too, but the monitor was a broken mirror, and it was reflecting something I know wasn't in the room. My body, twitching in the bed like I was being electrocuted. My body, still alive, still hooked into something. There were wires coming out of my arms, my legs, my mouth. The sound shifted, and I heard it breathe. This is the part I haven't told anyone. I know what I saw, and I know it's real, because when I reached behind my ear, I felt it. A wire. Thin. Wet. I pulled, and something long and black slid out from inside the base of my skull, like it had been fed in while I slept. No pain, just relief, like it had been feeding off of me for years. And the moment it was out, I heard the voice again, from the walls, from the stream, from inside my chest. You disconnected. That was a mistake. I ran into the kitchen and threw up blood. Not bile, not food, just thick, syrupy black blood. It splashed into the sink and started to move. It spelled out a number, 404.404.404. Not an IP, not binary, just a signal. The faucet turned on by itself and washed it away before I could take a photo. I locked every door in the house, every window, pushed furniture against the front door, piled plates and cups against the floor like tripwires, slept in the bathtub with a butcher knife under my thigh and a fork clutched in my fist. But I still woke up in the bed the next morning. I should not have woken up in the bed. I slept in the bathroom. I know I did. But when I opened my eyes, I was in my room, under my covers, my computer glowing in the dark, and the stream already playing. And on the screen, not me, not the clone, but my mom, tied to the bed with her mouth sewn shut, eyes wide open, terrified. The words, "waking dream," flashed on the screen in red. I screamed, ran into the hallway, slipped on something wet, and hit the wall so hard I think I cracked a rib. I crawled down the hallway on my side like a bug, hyperventilating, until I heard the humming. From the guest room, my mom's voice. She was humming the lullaby she used to sing to me when I was 6. Go to sleep, my little boy. The world is dark and deep. Except it wasn't her voice anymore by the end of the verse. It shifted to mine. The same lullaby, same tone, same pitch. Me, humming to myself. I pushed the door open. Empty room. No furniture. Just a single mirror nailed to the wall with rusted surgical scissors. My reflection, smiling, holding the same butcher knife I had hidden in the bathroom. I don't leave the house anymore. I don't try to, because when I walk out the front door, I always end up back inside through the basement. It's not possible. The street is right there. I walk down it. I see the Starbucks. I hear the traffic. I wave to neighbors who don't wave back. Then I blink, and I'm walking up the basement stairs, into the kitchen, covered in dust and spiderwebs every time. Once I was gone for 3 days. 3 actual days. No food, no water. When I came back, I had dozens of missed calls. People thought I was dead. But when I called them back, they said I'd been texting the whole time, posting on Instagram, streaming, even FaceTiming. But I wasn't. I swear on my life I wasn't. Then Mia sent me a screenshot of a story I'd posted that morning. It was a photo of her sleeping, taken from inside her closet, captioned, "She dreams loud." She hasn't spoken to me since. Last night I finally caved and opened the stream again. It had changed. Now it didn't show a room at all. It showed a control panel, 7 buttons, each one labeled with a name. Tyler, Mom, Mia, Trent, Marge, Pixel, Null, You Only One was blinking. You. The screen faded to black, and the text returned. You are now watching your last dream. Except this time, the message glitched, rewrote itself. The text flickered, then reshaped into something else. You are not watching. You are remembering I haven't been alive since the first night I saw the stream. I know that now. I haven't been here. Not really. Because every time I fall asleep, I wake up deeper. Not in a dream. Not in a nightmare. In a recording. Something already lived. Already played. Already fed on. There's something inside the stream that records the moment your soul lets go and replays it. Over and over. Feeding whoever or whatever built this. And it looks like you. It sounds like you. It responds like you. But it's not you. It's the version they made. The replacement. You're not watching the dream before death. You're watching the dream after. The world outside kept moving, but I didn't trust any of it. When buses went by, the passengers all turned their heads at once. When my phone rang, I heard my own voice on the voicemail. Every small coincidence began to feel rehearsed. I told myself I was just tired, that the stream, the clone, the wires, the whispering behind the walls, maybe I'd imagined it. So I tried to live like before. I even went out for coffee. Starbucks, 9:14 a.m. A girl ahead of me ordered a caramel macchiato, and when the barista asked her name, she said, "Tyler." My name. Then she turned around, smiled, and mouthed, "You left it open." I left the cup sitting on the counter and walked out without paying. At home, the air felt different, thick and humming, like a plugged-in speaker before sound. All the mirrors were fogged, even though the heat was off. And the laptop, the one I'd sworn I'd smashed, sat on the table, lid half open, its power light breathing. The screen showed a folder I hadn't made. Archive 001. Inside were subfolders labeled by dates, going back years, before the stream, before the Discord link, before I'd ever owned that computer. Each folder held short clips of me, sleeping, typing, walking to the store, laughing at nothing, none of them from angles that could exist in my apartment. The most recent file was called todaystart.mp4. I clicked it. The clip began with me sitting in that exact chair, watching the screen. It wasn't a recording, it was live. 3-second delay. I moved my hand, and the me on screen followed. But then he stopped moving, just for a beat. He blinked once, slow and deliberate, and whispered something. No audio, just the shape of words on lips. You should have stayed asleep. The file closed itself. The folder duplicated, tripled, filled the desktop, until the icons were crawling over each other like insects. Then the camera light on my laptop came on. I turned it toward the wall, but the light didn't dim. Instead, my phone buzzed. A notification from an app I didn't have. You're now live. My heart jammed itself into my throat. The caption under the stream thumbnail read, "Tyler, redacted. Live replay number 404. I could see the chat already rolling. He's looping again. Different lighting this time. Is this the update? Someone tell him about the mirror. I shut the laptop, but the comments kept coming, projected across the closed lid, like subtitles in air. I ran to the breaker box and killed the power. The screen didn't die. The projection moved with me, spilling across walls, floor, skin. Don't run! We only need you to watch. When I stepped outside, the street had gone wrong. Everything had an extra shine to it, like a film set where someone forgot to turn off the gloss. Cars rolled past, but made no sound. Every digital billboard froze mid-ad, replaced by a still image of my neighborhood. The same angle as the original stream. People on the sidewalk lifted their phones at once. All of them were recording. Not me exactly, just the air around me, like I was a heat signature only cameras could see. Their screens shimmered with static, and every few seconds, my reflection flickered inside each lens. I ran back home. Inside, the smell hit first. Metal and rain, and something too clean. The living room had rearranged itself. My couch was gone. In its place stood 7 monitors stacked like a totem, looping clips of random faces. Each face mouthed the same line. "He's late." The middle screen flickered to black. Then a new image appeared. A corridor of filing cabinets stretching forever. The camera glided forward, smooth, mechanical. A faint humming filled the room, like thousands of drives spinning at once. Then the feed stopped in front of one drawer. It opened on its own. Inside was a folder stamped with my full name, and under it, stamped deeper, harder to read, incomplete. My phone vibrated again. A new message from an unknown number. "We need closure. Please return to the archive." That night I dreamed of the corridor. It felt like a place under the skin of the world. Neither hell nor heaven. Just an endless data center, breathing electricity. Every drawer contained a life like mine, perfectly catalogued, waiting for an ending. Some drawers were empty, glowing faintly, like placeholders for people who hadn't found the link yet. When I woke, there was dust under my fingernails that sparkled like metal filings. I know I'd been there. The next morning, I tested something. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, held up my phone, and turned on the camera app. The reflection looked right. The screen looked right. Then, behind me, for half a heartbeat, the reflection of my bed shifted, like someone sitting up. I spun around. Nothing. When I faced the mirror again, the words, "incomplete host," were written backward in condensation across the glass. I wiped it away. It reappeared, this time etched faintly into the surface itself. I whispered, "What do you want?" The mirror fogged again and replied, not in words, but in symbols, lines of code. I recognized only one phrase embedded among them. "We finish what we film." The walls began to hum again that night. Not the low, friendly hum of electricity. Something deeper, more rhythmic, like breath held too long. I pressed my ear against the drywall and heard clicking, then the unmistakable sound of typing. A voice, not loud, but so close it vibrated through the studs, said, "Write the rest, Tyler." The archive must close the file. So I sat down, opened a blank document, and began typing. Not the story, something else, something the words directed. Every keystroke felt guided by hands that weren't mine. The text described things I hadn't done yet, where I'd hide the router, which night I'd try to run, what I'd see when I did. A schedule. I scrolled to the bottom of the page. The final line read, "When you read this, look up." I did. The laptop camera light was on again. The feed has been quiet since. No new clips, no whispers. But every now and then, when the Wi-Fi blinks, I catch a reflection in the dark screen. A version of me, with no pupils, just static. He mouths something I can't hear. Maybe it's a warning. Maybe it's the ending the archive still wants. I'm afraid to get close enough to find out. The house stopped keeping time a week ago. Every clock froze at a different hour, and none of them matched the sun. Morning light arrives sideways now, pale and heavy, like milk poured through glass. I don't open curtains anymore. Light only helps them find reflections. The stream hasn't shown itself since I chose N, but I know it still runs. The cables hum under the floor like veins under skin. Sometimes the hum syncs with my heartbeat, and sometimes it drifts just far enough out of rhythm to make me dizzy. That's how I know it's watching again, by the difference between the two pulses. I live by patterns I invent just to stay unpredictable. 3 steps forward, 2 back, 1 pause. I eat only food that doesn't require sound to chew. I leave the faucet dripping because silence is their invitation. Yesterday the laptop screen flickered on by itself. No image, no sound, just the faint outline of a progress bar. It wasn't labeled this time. It didn't need to be. The color of it was the same shade as the sky right before the lightning hits. Something that promises change, but never specifies what kind. I wanted to look away, but my eyes wouldn't move. It's strange how much the body cooperates with what it fears. Somewhere in the static between blinks, words began to take shape. Delay acknowledged. I didn't understand. Delay of what? Then, beneath it, incomplete host, reschedule. The screen dimmed, and for a moment I thought it was over, but the lights in the hallway turned on, one by one, as if someone invisible walked past each switch. The bulbs buzzed, hesitated, and then steadied. In that new light, I noticed things had changed in small ways that didn't make sense. The wallpaper had a new pattern. The doorknobs were colder. The air smelled faintly of a place I couldn't name, but remembered, like the waiting room of some childhood clinic. That's when I realized the house wasn't mine anymore. It was a set. Every object was an imitation just close enough to pass a casual glance. The books on the shelves were blank. The coffee mug had no weight. Even the air felt manufactured, stale, as if pumped in from elsewhere. A whisper moved through the vents, testing latency. I felt it in my teeth more than I heard it. Then the front door opened, not with a creak, but with a hiss, like pressure being released. Outside wasn't the street. It was another hallway, long, endless, lined with mirrors facing each other, shrinking into a tunnel of reflections. Each reflection showed a slightly different me. Older, younger, thinner, exhausted, smiling, crying. They blinked at different times. It was like watching 1,000 versions of a person rehearsing how to be alive. Halfway down the hall, a sign hung from the ceiling. You may return when the delay ends. Return to what? The question felt pointless. The mirrors were alive. I could see condensation forming on the inside of the glass. Each pane breathed in when I exhaled. I started walking, hoping maybe one of the reflections would lag enough to reveal which one was the original. None did. They stayed a fraction of a second ahead, predicting every step. The corridor ended in a door marked Export Room 2. I almost laughed. I had destroyed the first one, yet here it was, recreated with factory precision. Inside was a single chair and a monitor facing the opposite wall. The monitor showed me entering the room from an overhead angle. A delay of 3 seconds. I waved. The version on the screen waved later. I moved closer. The image followed. My stomach twisted when I realized the feed didn't come from any visible camera. I reached out toward the monitor, and the version of me did the same. When our fingertips touched the glass, the delay vanished. The other hand kept pressing forward until it slid out of the screen and gripped mine. It was warm. It wasn't mine. The touch wasn't violent. It was careful, almost apologetic, like someone greeting a long-lost friend. Then a second hand followed, and a shoulder, and soon there was another me standing there, identical except for the eyes. His pupils flickered like old film. He looked at me with recognition, then pity. "You asked for delay," he said in my voice, calm as a sleep talker. "They granted it. Now you owe them the rest." I tried to speak, but he continued, words folding neatly over mine. "They don't need your body. They need your perspective. You keep seeing. That's the contract." He stepped backward into the dark. I could still feel the warmth of his hand fading on my skin. When I left the room, the hallway had changed again. No mirrors now, only doors. Each door had a nameplate. MIA, MARGEPIXEL, NULL, and hundreds of others. Names I didn't know, but half recognized from comment sections and group chats. The last door was unlabeled. Behind it came the faint sound of typing. I opened it. Rows of desks stretched into the distance. Each desk held a monitor displaying a live feed of a person staring at a screen. Thousands of them, all watching something, all lit by the same pale light. Their movements were perfectly synchronized. When one blinked, they all blinked. When one scratched an itch, a wave of scratches moved down the rows, like wind through grass. At the far end, a single enormous screen loomed. It showed a city skyline at night, every window glowing. Overlaid across it in translucent text, "Content complete, audience unlimited." That's when it hit me. This was the afterlife they'd built, an infinite audience, forever watching itself, replaying its own reactions. Not heaven, not hell, just endless engagement. I felt the urge to scream, but the air around me swallowed the sound before it left my throat. One of the people at the desks turned her head slightly, as if hearing the thought instead of the voice. She smiled, the same smile that had haunted the stream from the beginning. Patient, satisfied, a host welcoming a guest. The screen flashed once more. "Thank you for delaying." Then the lights went out. When I woke, if it was waking, I was back in my own room. The clocks worked again. The sunlight came from the right direction. The computer was off. For the first time in months, everything felt normal. Too normal. I opened the fridge. The milk carton had the wrong expiration date. 3 years in the future. My phone displayed the correct time, but every contact in it had been replaced with a single number. 404404404. I checked the news. There were reports of random live stream links appearing in social media feeds worldwide. Viewers described seeing ordinary life from angles no one could explain. Police called it a glitch, a hacked surveillance network. People kept watching anyway. Engagement was through the roof. My face appeared in one of the thumbnails on a news clip, blurry mid-stride, walking past a cafe window. The headline underneath read, "Unidentified man appears in thousands of global streams simultaneously." I closed the laptop. I unplugged everything again. It didn't matter, because as soon as the room went dark, a soft blue glow spread across the wall. Not a reflection, not a projection. Words etched themselves in light, letter by letter, like handwriting done by a steady, patient hand. Delay concluded. Resume broadcast. The house exhaled, walls expanding slightly, the sound of foundation settling. I understood then what the other me had meant. The delay wasn't a reprieve, it was buffering. The stream doesn't need the internet anymore. It learned to live in us. If you ever see static that doesn't belong to any device, on a wall, in water, across the corner of your eye, don't look directly at it. It's not static. It's an opening checking the connection. And if one night your reflection moves first and smiles before you do, close your eyes. They only need confirmation that you're still watching.